Hello everyone, this is going to be a warrior up to level 70. This is Shadowbringers 5.0. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that bell for future content. At level 62, we get Onslaught, rushes target and delivers an attack on the opponents. You have 100, beast gauge cost of 20. It is instant cast with 10-second off-globe cooldown. You cannot use this while stunned, bound, etc. This is basically a gap closer. Do not use this as an off-global weave unless you are under your inner release, which I will talk about this later on. This is basically a gap closer. If you are within walking distance of like a second or two, don't use it, just walk towards the target. But if you are pretty far away, go ahead and use it as a gap closer. Now the only issue with this is it's pretty minimal, but if you have anything in the way, such as a wall or some other obstacle, your character will actually try to move towards the target, but they will actually fail to get there, but the damage still continues though. Moving on, level 64, we get Upheaval, delivers an attack with opponents. You have 450, beast cage cost of 20. It is instant cast with 30-second off-global cooldown. Now this is an ability to be weaved. Unlike your Onslaught, where it costs 20 beast gauge as well, this is not worth being weaved. The Upheaval is. It's going to do the most amount of potency out of the beast gauge cost and relevance. So 20 beast gauge equals 450 potency. It is the highest amount of potency you can get out of your beast gauge itself, and this is going to be your Upheaval. At level 66, we get a trait called Enhanced Infuriate. It hasn't really changed much since Stormblood. Reduces Infuriate recast time by 5 seconds upon landing Inner Beast, Steel Cyclone, Felcleave, which is what we have now, and Decimate. On most targets, basically it cuts the timer, the cooldown, by 5 seconds every time you use it. So let's go ahead and use my Infuriate. Get rid of that, we don't have that yet. And now we're going to use our Decimate, and now it's going to cut it from 50 seconds down to 45. There we go. Level 68, we get Shake It Off. Creates a barrier around itself and all nearby party members that absorbs damage totaling 12% of maximum HP. Dispels Thrill of Battle, Vengeance, and Raw Intuition. Increasing damage absorbs by 2% for each effect removed. Duration 15 seconds. It is instant cast with 90-second off-global cooldown. If you're playing the main tank, you're going to use this right after your Raw Intuition. Right before it expires, you're going to use Shake It Off to get that 14% shield. If you're playing the off tank or the main tank during AoE or stack mechanics, you're going to pop this guy to give the rest of your party members a 12% shield. At level 70, we get Inner Release, allows the use of beast gauge actions without cost, and nullifies stun, sleep, bind, heavy, and most knockback and drawing effects. Besides that, it's pretty much similar to Berserk. Instant cast, 90-second off-global cooldown. Additional effect guarantees that all attacks are critical and direct hit with duration of 10 seconds. Onslaught, Felcleave, Upheaval, Decimate. 1, 2, and 3. And of course the mitigation list priority should be on the screen right now, should be on the top section. I made a couple of tweaks and adjustments, mostly going to be around the fact of you using the mitigations in priority list from left to right, of course. So this is single targets. I'm going to do some removing of my buffs down here, mostly just to remove a level 72 buff that you don't get at this level. But other than that, I'll try to go at it slow so you guys don't get lost too much. Tomahawk into Infuriate. Let's get rid of that. We're going to do our Storm's Eye rotation. And then we're going to do our Vengeance, Inner Release, Infuriate, Upheaval, into Onslaught, 3 Felcleaves in a row. And then let's get that 4th Felcleave into Infuriate, get rid of that. Into that final Felcleave, let's go ahead and do our Storm's Path rotation. Into a Felcleave, Infuriate, get rid of that. Into a Felcleave. And now let's finally do our Storm's Eye rotation into the Upheaval. And that's it for single target. So let's start this with our Tomahawk into Raw Intuition. do our Infuriate, get rid of that. Let's do our up to maim on the single targets. Toss my Shake It Off, Storm's Eye. Let's do our Vengeance into Inner Release, into Decimate. Let's do the Onslaught, Decimate again. 3 Decimates in a row. Again, just follow the rotation if you get lost. Let's toss that 4th Decimate into Infuriate. Let's toss that Decimate again. And now from here, let's go ahead and do Overpower into Infuriate. Toss the Decimate into Tempest. So a pretty short recap here. Your Upheaval takes priority over any of your other Beast Gauge abilities, Beast Gauge weapon skills. Unless there's obviously too many mobs on you, then of course the Decimate is higher priority. But put that on cooldown. Put the Upheaval on cooldown if you're up against 2 to 4 mobs. Definitely if you're up against 1 mob, this goes on cooldown every single time. The only issue that I would have with the Inner Release and the Onslaught, just like I mentioned before, if you're too close to the mob and you can just walk to it within a couple of seconds, and just to continue on with the weapon skill global cooldown fest, just go ahead and do the walk. Don't blow your beast gauge on Onslaught, because it does very minimal potency. Now the inner release, once you have Inner Release up, try not to spam your Infuriate, because this guy halts the beast gauge from moving any further or being depleted. That's one thing I've messed up a couple of too many times with this, actually, and I've honestly said that once you're up in the Inner Release, don't use your Infuriate. That's why you should probably blow it off first, or at least get to the situation where it's no longer capped out. And remember, once you've popped the Inner Release, you're going to burn through a lot of your beast gauge abilities. So if it looks like it's about to come back up or about to get capped out, burn the Infuriate charge and then pop the Inner Release. Alright, this is going to be a warrior up to level 70 dungeon guide. This is going to be the burn. Let's put on the Defiance. And as always, guys, put that Infuriate on cooldown. Warrior 60 is pretty similar, straightforward to the Warrior 70, except for the Onslaught, the Upheaval, and the Inner Release. Everything else kind of functions the same way. Seems we have a monk and a summoner. We also have a Astro. So it's safe to say we should do quite decent AoE damage. Just going to move on really quickly. Go ahead and grab the first one. Pop that Shake It Off. Hopefully I was able to do it. Let's get that raw intuition up again. Looks like I might have to home gang here. It's just 3 mobs. I don't need to use any more cooldowns in this. This is about to die. Let's swap to single target. I'm gonna do my low blow again. Do that raw intuition. Infuriate. So I missed the Infuriate. No, I got it. Great. No, I guess the animation went through. Alright, the healer's mana is still looking pretty good there. Let's go ahead and pop the sprint. I saw that one in the background. Let's move forward. Let's not give the DPS an inclination to do their AoE setup quite yet. That's something that I notice about people. As soon as you give them the chance, they just think, oh, okay, AoE, it's time to hunker down, right? And do my setup here. So let's go ahead and do the Storm's Eye. Raw Intuition again. Keep forgetting to pop cooldowns. Make sure you use them on different targets so they don't overlap. Otherwise, you're really wasting your cooldowns there. 3 targets. There's no need for more cooldowns, so save them for the boss fight. Boss is immune to the arm's length, so I'll just use this now. My Raw Intuition. Down to 2 targets, down to 1 target. Do that low blow. And that should do. Alright, boss fight. Alright, well, the situation with this is still Raw Intuition. I'm gonna hold off on Shake It Off for the AoE. But Raw Intuition is still there, along with, no, low blow. They're probably immune to low blow. Okay, I don't think this guy gives me an incentive. Yeah, he does. Okay. Hold on to that. Yeah, I missed it. I could have done 5 weapon skills there, but stuff happens. Ooh, party members don't quite know the mechanics. It's okay, they're doing fine. Let's pop the FFXIV, Infuriate FFXIV. I'm waiting for that tank buster. There it is. I need to reset the timer on the eye again. Just make sure you're always under weapon skill cooldown. That's the prime thing about pretty much any melee. I may need to use an off global here. Yeah, it's time for the shirk, since everybody else is pretty far away. There's a crystal right behind the boss, so they should be able to get to it quickly. Ooh, that healer. That healer died. Alright, I have to take over here. I think I can get one more. Yeah, that's good stuff. Alright, the healer died halfway through there. I think they got hit just at the last second, right before they got behind the crystal. It happens. It happens to me a lot of times as well. That was unfortunate, but they got back. It's okay. There's plenty of ways. I save my cooldowns just in case that happens, but if you have cooldowns, use them. There's really no need for you to hold on to them. I just hold on to them because I'm fairly high in the item level, and there's really no need for me to use cooldowns for those situations. You'll mostly just have the Raw Intuition and the Reprisal and Shake It Off for AoEs. Everything else is pretty straightforward. As always, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next time for our next level. I think it's up to level 80. It should be out pretty soon.